One name has sent ripples in the South China Sea.
The West Philippine Sea.
It's the West Philippine Sea on Google Maps.
But in the grand scheme of things, not much has changed.
没有得到国际社会广泛认可。
The so-called West Philippine Sea. Why does the Philippines care so much about the name, and why does almost no one outside the Philippines use it? To understand this, let's start from the beginning.
The year was 2011, a year after Philippine President Benigno Aquino III took office. The U.S. was already brewing its pivot to Asia strategy. Its focus?
The South China Sea.
That summer, Philippine officials began dropping the South China Sea, an internationally recognized name, in favor of the West Philippine Sea.
West Philippine Sea, otherwise known as the South China Sea.
The next year, legislative wheels started turning.
In
In 2012, in an attempt to challenge China on the international stage, then Philippine President Benigno Aquino III issued an administrative order to use the term West Philippine Sea.
But where exactly is the so-called West Philippine Sea? That's where it gets interesting. Before 2012, there wasn't any demarcation. Philippine officials used it to refer to the entire South China Sea.
But the order specifically marked the western side of the Philippine archipelago as the West Philippine Sea, including not just most of China's Nansha Qingdao, but also China's Huangyandao. Just a few months before the order, Philippine Navy soldiers were exposed to have been holding Chinese fishermen at gunpoint near the island, triggering a months-long standoff. The demarcation, therefore, was written with China in mind.
The primary goal was to bolster the Philippines' illegal territorial claims in the South China Sea and to directly oppose China's stance on the issue.
The order, which demanded governmental organizations to popularize the name domestically and abroad, sowed seeds for larger problems. As former Philippine presidential spokesperson Rigoberto Tiglao wrote, it's a dangerous fiction in that it creates a mind frame among Filipinos that we can never settle our disputes with China since we have to hold on to the fictional WPS. But does the international community recognize the term? A study of ASEAN countries' English-language newspapers from 2011 to 2016 found that South China Sea remains the most used term. The international community has responded in silence, so the Philippines amped up the campaign.
Over the past few years, the term West Philippine Sea has seen increased use on the internet and in international media outlets, largely due to the Philippine government's promotional efforts through international bloggers and social media platforms.
Videos released by China Media Group in 2024 show that Manila could be mobilizing not just U.S. think tanks, but also pop music fans to rally social media engagement and support for the country's claims. In some instances, the splash has indeed elicited responses, from the U.S. at least.
Freedom of navigation is something the Philippines experiences in the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea.
Conformity of these various companies to utilize the word West Philippine Sea is a big victory for the Philippines.
But in documents released by international organizations, the area has always been the South China Sea, a name embedded in history.
There is nothing as West Philippine Sea. Wala po yun. That is a creation by us.
Instead of swaying global opinion, the term West Philippine Sea has become a symbol of the Philippines' antagonistic stance, one many argue doesn't help resolve disputes.
In reality, the use of West Philippine Sea is a self-serving exercise by the Philippines and its few supporters. It's not widely recognized by the international community. Sovereignty claims must be based on the international law and history, not merely on changing the name. The international community isn't so arbitrary.
The South China Sea was named this way centuries ago. For those working to resolve the disputes, it remains the South China Sea. But for others, a shift in perspective might be necessary.